J is starting from 0 value, so 0, and see how far J will move. For the first row, J is started with 0 and stopped with 0. In second row number 1, when this is row number 0, when we are in row number 1, J start with 0 and then move up to 1. Then in row number 2, J started with 0, move up to 2. So the relation is J less than equal to I. It is moving up to the value, maximum value of I. This is I, na? This is I. So it is moving up to the value of I. Then J plus plus. Then inside there, suppose we are using a variable, say n. N will be written like this: fact of, say, I will call it, then divided by, in bracket, fact of I minus j into fact of j. Okay, so this is the value of n. After getting the value of n, we are going to print the value, sorry, percent d, value of n. Okay, after printing it in one particular row, one new line is there, invisible new line is there. So printf new line, done. So this is the skeleton of your Pascal triangle. Okay, and we have already defined the factorial function. Here is the factorial function, either the iterative one or the recursive one, whatever you have written, that will be written after this. Is, suppose this is inside the main function, this is inside the main function. So what you have to do, you have to declare the variables. Okay, so this is your repetitive structure, and then one particular example where we need both function and the repetitive structure for this Pascal triangle. So there are different series in your book, and I hope you have tried those series. If you have not tried yet, then you should go to perform those series. Suppose the series like this, you should try this. Say 1 plus 2 plus. These are simple series. Then suppose like this. Then suppose series like this. This like this. Then there are fraction series. Suppose 1 plus 1 by 2 plus 1 by 2 square plus dot 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 like this. So there are many different series. Okay, so just what you have to do, you have to understand the series pattern, how the variables are related, how the variables are changing, and according to that, you have to modify your code. That's all. So in your textbook, there will be many different series. Try to solve those series, and I'm giving one interesting problem. Solve this. This is a very interesting problem. Problem is like this, and I hope I have discussed about it a little bit in the previous class. Okay, then in the next line it is 4, 3, 2, then 1, then this side 2, 3, 4, and again from there it is 4, 3, 2, then 3, 4, the next line 4, 3, 4, and in the final line only a single 4. So try to solve this pattern. Okay, try to solve this pattern. Okay, with
In the
this,
previous class, sir, in the previous class you taught the bubble sorting. Can you please repeat that part?
yeah, I have taught bubble sort to show you how the nested structure run. But since I have not covered the array part, that's why I have written the bubble sort in some pseudocode. If you remember that compare, then interchange, those type of things I have written. But since we need, in case of bubble sort, generally we need the array. So since I have not covered the array, so I have written it in some sort of pseudocode. So you want to repeat that bubble sort?
Yes,
Should I
sir.
repeat?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Okay. Okay. So, so uh, in case of sorting, you have to remember that these things will be uh, covered in detail in your data structure classes. But in case of any sorting, just remember two things: that what is the best case and what is the worst case. Normally, in case of any uh, algorithm, if you want to measure the time, which is represented in terms of time complexity, big O notation, a format like this, big O like this, then there are some symbol. So normally this time complexity will be represented in two different cases. One is the best case, another is called the worst case. Okay. Now suppose I am sorting some elements and I have to sort them in ascending order. Okay. So the given data, whatever the sequence, if I require maximum time to sort it, mean maximum time to convert it into ascending order, then this technique or this you can say this problem is called the worst case problem. And if my data sequence in such way that I require the minimum time, if I require the maximum time to sort it, then it is called the worst case. If I take minimum time to sort it, then it is called the best case. Okay. So suppose I have to perform ascending order sorting and my data sequence is this one: 55, 44, 33, 22. Okay. See, since I need ascending order and this sequence of data which is given to me is in totally reverse order, so I will take maximum time to sort it. So it means this sequence is called worst case. But if the sequence is in this order 22, 33, 44, 55, and my ascending order sorting is the given sequence, then I will take the minimum time. Then it is called the best case. Okay. And if your arrangement, your data sequence is any other than this extreme two cases, then it is called average case. Remember this. Okay. So whenever we are discussing any algorithm, whether it is sorting or any searching, I should discuss either best case or worst case. But if it is already sorted, or if I am performing searching and if it is already there, then it will take the minimum time. Okay. So my algorithm will be always measured, or my algorithm will be said as good one if it is performing good in worst case. Am I clear? If my algorithm, my solution is doing good in worst case, then I will say this is a good algorithm. Why? Because in best case, it is very difficult to identify which one is doing good because it is already shorted. But if it is not shorted, which one is performing in less time, that will be considered as good algorithm. Okay, so just with a little bit idea about the algorithm and how to measure the complexity, we are now going to discuss about the bubble sort. The technique of bubble sort, remember this is the simplest sort technique. There are many other sorting techniques. There is selection sort, insertion sort, merge sort, quick sort. There are many more sorting techniques, but this bubble sort is the simplest one. Okay, and the logic of the bubble sort is compare adjacent element, compare adjacent elements. Okay, and if they are the adjacent elements, they are means the adjacent elements are not in order. In order mean which order you are required? Ascending. If they are not in ascending order, then interchange them. So this is the simple logic of bubble sort. And what you have to do, you have to repeat this. You have to repeat this again and again. Okay. So from the definition, at first, these two are the adjacent element. I will compare them. If are they in order? No. So what is my solution? I will interchange. This will come here. This will come here. So 44, 55, 33, 22. Okay, done. So first I have compared first and second element. Now I have to move forward. I will compare second and third element. These two will be compared. Again, they are not in order, so I will interchange. So it becomes like this. Next, I have already compared 1, 2, then 2, 3. Now I will compare 3, 4. Again, they are not in order, so I will interchange. 44, 33, 22, 55. Now see, there is no more element. So how many times I have compared? 1, 2, 3. So I have performed 3 comparisons, 3 adjacent element comparison. And after this 3 adjacent element comparison, my maximum element at its proper position. So this element got its proper position. No need to check this element again. So what I will do, I will perform the same operation with the rest. Okay. So now again for the rest, I will compare. So this is first, second, third. So again, first, second. Not in order, interchange. They will interchange. Okay. Then again, 2, 3. Not in order, so they will interchange. Okay. How many elements? 3. So how many compare? 2. So after 2 comparison, I will get the next element in sorted order. Already 55 is there. So another element sorted. Next, the rest I have to perform, I have to repeat. So again, this is first, this second, I will compare, not in order, so I will interchange. How many elements? 2 elements. So how many interchange? 1 interchange, and after that I will get 1 element sorted. Already 2 elements sorted, and this is the third one. So among my 4 elements, Now 3 elements are sorted. It means the last element by default sorted. No need to sort it. By default sorted. If I ask you to sort one single element, is it possible? No, because single element always sorted. So here, this is the last element, so it is always sorted. So now this is my sorted order. Okay, now I will try to convert this into some code. How to convert it some code? See, so I have repeat this how many times? First, second, third. I have repeated this 3 times. What I have repeated? So I have repeated 3 times. What I have repeated? I have repeated adjacent element comparison. What I have repeated? I have repeated adjacent element comparison. So first I have to perform how to compare adjacent element. So if this is X element, this must be Y element adjacent. So what I have compared? I have compared X with Y. How many times I have repeated this adjacent element comparison? See, if there are 4 elements, then I have compared 3. When there are 3 elements, I have compared 2. When there are 2 elements, I have compared 1. So always 1 less. So if there are n number of elements in general, then I have to repeat first time n minus 1. Next time n minus 2. Logic clear? So my for loop will be like this. For adjacent element comparison, I equal to 0, I less than how many times? If n number of elements less than
n minus 1.
Less than n minus 1, because I have started from 0. So it is I plus plus. Then I will compare which 2 elements? I will compare the adjacent element. Let the adjacent elements are x and y. Okay. And what is the result of the comparison? If in order, okay, else, if they are in order, okay, else interchange. Interchange also having another term which is called swap. So I will interchange the elements in position x and y. Remember, these two are position, these are position, these are position. Y position, x position. So I will interchange these 2 positions element. If they are in order, okay, leave it. If not in order, then interchange. So after comparison, I will perform this result. So this is one thing. Okay, and this thing is repeated again and again. How many times? 3 times. How many elements are there? There are 4 elements. So I have to make 3 elements sorted. Then the last element by default sorted. So for general n number of variables, I have to repeat these things how many times? N minus 1 times. So my outside for loop, which will perform this repetitive thing, will be run j less than n minus 1 times j plus plus. Okay, done. Now see, there is another interesting thing. With the increase of iteration, this is first iteration, second iteration, with the increase of iteration, number of elements are decreasing. See, first n minus 1 time, then n minus 2 times. So it means same as our loop. When first time I have performed first 3 star, then 2 star, then 1 star. So it is decreasing with the increase of row. Which one representing row? This one representing row. So I have to perform n minus 1 minus j. So this whole thing will be like this. It will be like this finally. N minus 1 minus j. Then I will repeat this. See, when j is 0, it will execute n minus 1 time. In the next iteration, j becomes 1, it becomes n minus 2 times. Then j becomes 2, it becomes n minus 3 times. In this way, it will repeat. So the same for loop structure is used here. Okay.
Why you have used, sir, j less than n minus 1?
Because we have started j with 0. Is it clear? Suppose the value of n is 4. Suppose the value of n is 4. Then how many times I have to repeat? N minus 1 means 3 times I have to repeat. So if I start j with 0, then for 0 it will execute 1. Then for 1 it will execute 2 times. Then for 3 it will execute third time. Sorry, for 2. Is it clear? So the value of
Yes,
j
sir.
will move up to 2. So for n4, how much I have to go? I have to go up to 2. So that's why I am writing is less than n minus 1. Less than n minus 1 means less than 3. See, up to 2. Or you can write it, if you need, you can write it less than equal to n minus 2. No problem. Or you can do it starting from 1. But since the value of j is used here, so better you start with 0 and write it j less than n minus 1. Okay? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So in next class, I will start with array. So within this Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, try to solve all the problems that is given in your exercise, in your book, all the patterns, all the series. If you stuck anywhere, please let me know by sending me some WhatsApp. Sir, this problem I am not able to do. Then I will discuss the problem in the next class. At the starting of the class, then I will go for array. Okay? And please see those MCA students, please check my most probably class number 3, where I have discussed about this function, where I have given the detailed idea about how to write a function, how to call a function, how your function should look like. So I have discussed it in detail. So just see those videos, and we will meet again on Wednesday. Okay. With this, I'm ending today's class.